What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to another topical video here on Anfield Agenda. This video is going to look at my potential candidates to replace Jurgen Klopp in 2026. I've given them a score out of 10 of likelihood. As always, I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree with my choices? Do you agree with my ratings of them? Or do you have other coaches that you would like to see come in? Now, let me say, I don't want to even talk about Jurgen Klopp leaving. I want Jurgen Klopp to stay way beyond 2026, but it's a question I keep being asked. So, with it being the international break and us all searching around for things to do, I'm currently away on holidays with my family, but I recorded a series of videos, this being one of them, that I hope that you guys enjoy, and most of all, would love to know your thoughts on it. So, without any further ado, I'm going to get stuck into it and work through 6 potential coaches that I think could do a job at Liverpool and give you a score of how likely I think it is that they arrive through those Kirby doors. So look, let's start off with the first one, and it's De Zerbi. And I gotta say, I really like him as a manager, but I've always had a feeling he's destined for either Manchester City or Barcelona. I don't know why. I honestly don't. I've got no information to say that, but I just feel that's it, probably his next step. But his style of football, the way he sets his teams up, the way he carries himself, there's a lot to admire about De Zerbi. I think he's a fantastic coach. So what would I give as a score out of 10 of the likelihood of him producing a miracle to become the next Liverpool manager? Well, I've gone for a score of 6 out of 10. I don't think it's the most unrealistic option of them all. I just have a sneaky feeling that he'll move on to bigger and better things, perhaps before Jurgen gives up the reins as Liverpool manager. So, as much as I'd like De Zerbi, I don't think it's really likely. But again, would love to know your thoughts. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. The next coach that I've looked at is, of course, Pep Lijnders. Somebody who I think divides Liverpool fans way more than he should. So let's say what's for and against Pep Lijnders. What's for him is, of course, continuity. The relationship he already has with the players. How well he knows the club. And of course, we as Liverpool fans love the idea of the boot room. We love the idea of the next manager coming from within. But there's also a big caveat to that in the modern game. And for me, it's, would Pep Lijnders have the gravitas, the appeal to be able to go out there and attract players to the club? I've no doubt his enthusiasm and his knowledge of the game would be a big plus factor, but I don't think he's at the scope or level required in the modern age to be able to really get the players that Liverpool would want if he goes up against other top managers or other top clubs. So that's definitely a mark in the against column for me. All that being said, what do I think the likelihood of Pep Lijnders taking over is? Well, I think 7 out of 10, because the idea of it in theory is intriguing, and as much as I do think Liverpool fans are divided on their opinions on Mr. Lijnders at times, nobody can deny that he loves the game, he knows it inside out, and he's got some really cool ideas around the sport. I remember reading his pieces in The Athletic and being blown away. I thought I knew the game. I think I've around football my entire life, but when I heard Pep Lijnders break down and talk about the game, I learned a lot of new things. So I'll give him a relatively high score. Let me know if you agree or disagree. The next one, my friends, is this man here, Xabi Alonso. And I got to be honest and say, he ticks most of the boxes. The only thing that Xavi hasn't got going from at the minute is, of course, experience. He was Sociedad's B-team coach. He's gone to Bayer Leverkusen and doing a very, very good job. So much so that he's very likely to become Real Madrid's next manager. Would that rule him out of taking Liverpool job in 2026? Well, it's hard to say, because how long the managers stick around at Real Madrid in general, and if he doesn't win a lot of trophies, he could be cast to the side very quickly. It is believed he will take over from Carlo Ancelotti, but I'd love him at Liverpool, and he does have the gravitas, and he does have the knowledge of the game, and he does have the love of the football club, and he does have the fans on side. There is a lot going for Xabi Alonso. So that being said, I've gone for a score of 9, because that's how good I think a fit Xabi Alonso as Liverpool coach would be. Yeah, it'd be great. I won't lie, I'd love it. Moving on now to the next one on my list, and it's this gentleman, Julian Nagelsmann, currently now the German national team coach, and I think he's in a rebuilding phase of his career. he came through, the first I heard about him was at Hoffenheim when he came through there. Obviously, he's continued to progress, but he's had a bit of a setback after being sacked by Bayern Munich. Now he's with the German national team. I think it's a perfect time for him to rebuild, maybe work on some fresh ideas, have a little bit more time to gain experience. And of course, there's the much talked about idea of a swap where Jurgen leaves Liverpool in 2026 and maybe goes and becomes the German national team coach. For Pep Lijnders, I think it's more likely to step up from a younger age to do the job at Liverpool than Nagelsmann personally. But what score would I give him? A 6 out of 10. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it being the right fit, if I'm really honest. I don't know if he'd get Liverpool. I don't know if he's the right type of character for the club. So maybe it's just a personal thing with me, but I've given him a score of 6 out of 10 because I think there are far better candidates out there. Now, bit of a wild card, right? Big Ange Postecoglou, self-professed Liverpool fan. And I know this is all a little bit sore after the game at the weekend against Spurs because I'm recording this on Wednesday the 4th of October. You guys are going to be watching it a week later. So things are still a bit raw. But I do like Ange Postecoglou. I like how he carries himself. I like his footballing philosophies. And I like his man management skills. So there's a lot of boxes there to be ticked. Would he have the gravitas to be Liverpool manager? Truly don't know. It's hard to get a read. His CV speaks for itself. He's been in the game a very long time as a player and a coach. He's done the rounds, obviously gone from Australia to Japan to Scotland and now down to manage Spurs. And if he can win anything with Spurs, that will catapult him, in my opinion, into the next echelon of managers. So what score would I give the likelihood of big Ange Postecoglou becoming Liverpool coach? I think a 7. I think it's entirely possible. The biggest problem would be if he's successful at Spurs. Obviously they'll want to keep him on there. With 2026 a couple of years away after this season, maybe it's going to be a timing thing. But I do like Big Ange, and I think a lot of you guys probably do as well. And the last one on the list is probably the obvious one, the one you're all waiting for. It is, of course, Steven Gerrard. Now, in theory, we'd all love Gerrard, ticks a lot of boxes. The heartstrings are pulled upon. He is Mr. Liverpool. He has delivered as a player on countless occasions. He carried the club for a long time, scored some tremendous goals, had some tremendous highs at the club. But if I'm being really blunt about it, his managerial career has left a lot to be desired. He had a very good start up in Scotland with Rangers, of course, but when he came down to really test himself in the Premier League with Aston Villa, he was shown up to be wanting as a coach. You've seen the impact Unai Emery has had, a top tier coach since he's come into Villa. So for me, Steven Gerrard won't be ready in 2026, and that's allowing everything to go right for him. Right now, he's over in Saudi Arabia, and that's not going to be a big plus on his CV. Not because of anything against Saudi, but just because of the calibre of the league at this point. You're not going to get many bonus points for doing well if he does in the Saudi league. I think he still needs another big job or two before we could even consider him for the Liverpool managerial post. So for me, a score for Stevie G out of 10 with the likelihood of it happening for our next manager? 4. I don't see it. I just don't. I think it would be a hearts ruling our heads situation. But you never know someday. I just don't think now is the time for Stevie G. So, my friends, that is my list and my likelihood of them becoming the next Liverpool manager. Now it's over to you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, if you've enjoyed the video, drop a like. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, you know what to do. Thank you for your time. We'll catch up soon. Bye-bye.